Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Julie here, and today I am going through all of the vintage art supplies I found during my thrifting adventures. So last week I brought you guys a montage of going to so many different thrift stores, and this week we're actually gonna sit down and talk about the items that I found. And I had a lot of fun filming this video, especially the second half when I actually swatch out the items. It was really fun, and I laughed so much. There are some supplies that I don't have much knowledge on, so it just gave me a good laugh. Anyways, let's move on to this haul. So first of all, I have some Changhua pencils from the People's Republic of China. And I got these at a Value Village. These were one of the first items that I picked up. And the reason they appealed to me was just because it was a different brand than I was used to. And at that point I went to about 6 different thrift stores and couldn't find anything. So when I saw these pencils, I was like, okay, it's something different, I'll grab them. Honestly, I'm probably gonna end up donating them because I found some other much cooler items than HB pencils, and I only really use mechanical pencils, so I don't even need them. I just bought them because I was excited. At a different Value Village, I also found a set of 2 collectible Coca-Cola pencils, and these ones are dated in 1996. I got them from London Drugs, which I'm not sure if it's a Canadian drugstore. I mean, it has London in the title, so you know, I don't know. Do you guys have London Drugs in the States? Let me know. I'm gonna assume it's Canadian. I found these neat because when you think of Coca-Cola, you definitely don't think of pencils. So they just made me laugh, so I had to grab them. At a small thrift store nearby, and this was my first really significant find, I picked up some Barrel Canadiana colored pencils, and these are brand spanking new. They've never been sharpened, and the packaging that we see here is actually from between 1975 to 1980, according to my research, so that puts them at 40 to 45 years old. Now, the Barrel Canadiana brand is of course Canadian. I think it was manufactured in Ontario, I believe. The Barrel brand is actually a predecessor to the company that makes modern day Prismacolors. So when I saw these, knowing that history, I flipped out, and my sister was with me and we freaked out together. I love that she got so excited over these pencils because she's not even an artist, but she wanted to come with me on this full day thrifting adventure. We went to like 5 different thrift stores in one day, and after such a long day, it was actually the last thrift store that we went to, and I came out with these. She was just really happy for me, so I appreciate that. She is like the true VIP. The next day, I visited another thrift store, and this was another small one. And okay, I don't know if people are just giving out really nice old colored pencils out of nowhere, but you know, I'll show you in a bit, but I found something really neat here. First off, I came across this handmade paper, and I wasn't allowed to open the packaging, so I couldn't really feel how thick it was. I couldn't really see what it was exactly, but I actually posted videos on my own handmade paper journey, and I have a brand new appreciation for people who make their own paper because, man, it is messy, it's difficult, it takes a long time, and it's really hard to get a solid result. So now when I see handmade paper, I'm like, okay, cool. So I decided to grab those. Turns out they're actually envelopes. So there are some envelopes that are made with the handmade paper and then some that aren't. The ones that are super thin, so I could only really see myself using it for maybe scrapbooking purposes, like cut it up and, I don't know, make a few scrapbook pages, even though I don't even scrapbook, but you know, I'll figure something out. I also came across some Muji pens, and these are the ones that were discontinued, and I was so bummed because they were just beautiful. They don't bleed. The ink is really nice and smooth and even, and the point is just perfect. The way the pen sits on your hand is just the most comfortable thing ever. So I was in love with these pens. Found out they were discontinued. So when I saw these, a pack of 6 brand new ones, I was like, yes, I need these in my life. If anyone else is a total pen nerd, I also recommend the Pentel Energel pens in 0.5. They are smooth AF, and I'll link them down below if you're interested. Okay, and finally, the cream of the crop. At the same thrift store, I found some Eagle Canadiana colored pencils, and this one here is a set of 8. The purple was missing, so whoever donated it replaced it with a Laurentian colored pencil, which we will get to. A lot of colored pencils in this video, guys. So before the Barrel Company was under that brand name, it was actually created by a company called Eagle, or maybe the brand was Eagle. I need to do more research on that. But essentially the timeline is Eagle to Barrel to whatever company makes Prismacolors. So these Eagle colored pencils are a lot older than the Barrel ones. So when I saw them, I got even more excited. I was flipping out. I met up with my sister after and I showed her them and she was flipping out too, which was super sweet of her. And to add even more colored pencils on top of the ones I've already found, at Value Village, I also picked up some Laurentian colored pencils. So they're spelt ending in T-I-E-N. The older versions are spelt with T-I-A-N. The reason they changed it to an E was so these pencils could be more marketable in Quebec, because I guess T-I-E-N is more common in French spelling. These colored pencils were a staple in my childhood, and I think anyone else who was raised in Canada shared the same sentiment. They were always right next to the Crayolas, and I always used them interchangeably. I couldn't even tell the difference between the two. Unfortunately, these colored pencils were discontinued back in 2012. And you could find them at any Value Village or Salvation Army you go into. Like 50% of the time, you're gonna come across them. So they're quite common here still. You just can't find them brand new. So when I saw a pack of Laurentians, they were slightly used, but I thought I would just grab some just because they were a part of my childhood. And, you know, they're discontinued, so they might not be vintage right now, but in, I don't know, another decade, they might be. This purchase was more sentimental than anything. Also, I know I'm saying the name Laurentian wrong. I am not even gonna try to pronounce it in French. Laurentian? Oh my god, oh Jesus. Okay, nope, not happening. The thing about buying art supplies at thrift stores is that they usually come in a bag with a ton of other items. So I ended up with a whole bag full of things that I'm gonna go back and donate, just because you can't pick and choose what you want. If you want one thing in that bag, you gotta get the whole bag. I ended up walking out with some 101 Dalmatian Crayola crayons in a bag that also contained some Talens oil pastels. I was after the pastels, so I had to grab the crayons and whatever else was in the bag to go with it, which I do plan to donate back to that thrift store. Apparently this packaging here alludes to this item being made in Japan. There's no other information on the box, so unfortunately I wasn't able to find a date. There are certain Talon brand items being sold on eBay that have similar packaging, but the date is not specified. They're just advertised as vintage art supplies. If I were to take a guess, I would say maybe the 90s, possibly the 80s, but I'm leaning towards 90s. For those of you who aren't aware, the Talens company is actually behind Van Gogh art supplies. And there are Van Gogh oil pastels, so I'm not sure how these compare. I've never really used oil pastels before, so I wish I could give you that insight, but I don't know. Speaking of oil pastels, I also ended up finding some Sakura oil pastels. These are under the name Cray-Paz, which you could find here on Amazon, just the modern day version. One form of it has a little sun on it, so I'll be sure to attach an image of that later on. I'll probably end up donating this one because I really don't need 2 vintage oil pastels. I'll probably hardly use the one, but I do want to try to play around with it, so we'll see how that goes. And finally, at the same thrift store that I found the Sakura oil pastels, I also walked out with some aquacolor charcoal-y, not sure how it's pronounced. And this is by the brand Weber Castello, made in Ontario, Canada. So I don't think the company's Canadian, but they had at least a manufacturing site in Canada or some kind of office in Canada. The Canadian office or company or whatever it was dissolved back in 1992. So at the youngest, this here is 30 years old. They definitely look older than that, but again, I wasn't able to find information on so many of these items, which is sad. I really wish there was some kind of database where you could just look up old art supplies and get a specific date and find out more about the history. But no, instead there are just so many gaps to be filled. If I really get passionate about this, I might email the actual companies, just general info emails, to see if they know anything about these older products. But chances are I'll probably just leave it a mystery. So if any of you have any information on these, like I mentioned, please let me know because I have no clue. So that is it for the voiceover version of me. Now I'm gonna pass it along to live action me doing all my little swatches. I hope you enjoy it, and until next time, stay creative, stay healthy, keep on thrifting. Peace out. I'm not sure what to do right now. I don't actually know how long I've been filming for, so I don't want this video to get too long, but I'm also not a fan of hauls without at least swatching. At best, actually creating a piece of work. But you know what? I think we're gonna just test out a couple of these just to see how they work. Oh, shameless plug. My sketchbook was of course on this page. These watercolors here are actually watercolors that I made using some pigment powder that I bought from a website called Colorware. So I have a video in the making. So stay tuned for that. In a perfect world, I would flip to a blank page, but I don't want to waste a fresh page of my sketchbook, so we're just gonna use an old one. So the thing about pastels, especially soft pastels and charcoal, is I really hate that feeling on my hands. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about. It's like that feeling of getting dust all over your hands. Ugh, I really don't like it. And oh, this is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Just the feeling of this kind of material on paper. Ugh, yuck. Sorry, I don't mean to complain. Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know what a good piece of charcoal is supposed to be like. I don't know, I mean, it's black. I guess it's doing what it's supposed to. Am I supposed to like smudge this? Ooh, it's like black dust. I don't know, this is, I hope this is satisfying to some of you. But yeah, good stuff, I guess. It'll be interesting to incorporate this into an art piece because that's the goal. I want to create a piece of work with each of these items. Maybe not all in one single illustration, but you know, in a few. Okay, then we have oil pastels. I've never used oil pastels before. Actually, I might have in grade school, but like, ugh. Okay, at least these ones are wrapped in sort of paper here, so it'll feel less gross, but okay, no, that's a lot smoother. I guess because they're oil. Chalk pastels have the same feeling as this charcoal did. Like, yeah, I guess they're very pigmented. I'm so sorry, this swatch is... I don't know if this is what you expected. I know nothing about oil pastels. Like, yeah, look at that. They're very bold. Oops. Of course I use the same finger to smudge that. Are you supposed to even smudge oil pastels? I don't know. You get the point. They're very, very bold. Okay, and while we're on oil pastels, we might as well swatch out the Sakura. Okay. So, I feel a difference between these two. This brand here, the Talons brand, went on the paper so much more smoothly. Like, and this is also very pigmented, but it's definitely not the same. And it makes sense because the Craypas that you could find are student grade oil pastels. Okay, like look at that. Look how much white is showing through, and I'm coloring quite hard in one direction. Let's grab this red here. Oh yeah. Okay, like you could see, this has a lot more white than this here, and this is just Canson mixed media paper, so it has a slight tooth to it, but you know, it's quite smooth overall. But yeah, okay, now I'm starting to get it. Now I'm starting to get it. So yeah, if I'm donating one of these, it's definitely gonna be these Sakura here. I'm not gonna bother swatching the pencils. It always makes me laugh when people do that. They swatch pencils. It's like, it's just a regular writing pencil. I don't know. Anyways, since we have these out, we might as well swatch these Dalmatian crayons, even though they're just like children crayons. And I'll go for a blue because we don't have any blue on the page. Oh yeah, you know what? After using the oil pastels, these are not very satisfying. Are crayons? I don't remember. Are crayons supposed to be like... I feel like the crayons I used as a kid were a lot smoother than this. Then again, it's been a long time since I've actually picked up a crayon. Maybe this is actually how... Yeah, maybe this is right. I don't know. What should we swatch next? Let's do the Canadiana colored pencils. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay. Actually, let's see, what color should we use? We already have a red. What color is this? Indigo blue. Let's add some more blue to this page. Ooh. They feel like regular colored pencils. I don't know what I was expecting. Just they're vintage, so they're supposed to feel like magic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's a pretty hard lead, and they're advertised as having like thick cores. This here is the student grade brand, so I guess I shouldn't expect so much just because they're old. And while we're at it, might as well swatch our Laurentian colored pencils. And what color should we do here? We could use some yellow, but yellow's kind of hard to see, so we'll skip that. Oh, what's this? Oh, Kohl's, the Book People. Wow, this is a Kohl's colored pencil that was thrown in there. Interesting. Might as well swatch that out too. Ew, should we let's swatch a brown. we don't have brown yet. It's not the prettiest color, but you know. Okay, yes, these are the Laurentians I remember. They are very pleasant. They're just like regular colored pencils. I know people on forums say they were better than Crayolas. I don't remember them being any different. Then again, I was very young when I used these, so like, I don't know, maybe from an artist perspective they were better, but it might just be the nostalgia speaking. Like, yeah, this colored pencil here, it feels exactly the same. And this is from Kohl's, which is, you know, part of the Indigo brand. It's a bookstore here in Canada. So yeah, if Kohl's pencils feel the same, then I'm sure Crayolas do as well. And while we're at it, ooh, it kind of hurts to sharpen one of these colored pencils here, especially because they're brand new and they're 40 years old. So it's gonna hurt a little bit, but I did not thrift for art supplies so they could sit in my drawer. Like, we thrifted them so we can use them and experience that, you know? So we're just gonna take one and we're gonna go for it. And I'm gonna sharpen this end because this one has all the information here. So let's do that.
sharpening with my left hand. Okay, that's better.
I wonder how well these will sharpen, because the older the pencil, I feel like the more breakage, just because they were probably tossed around. And when they're tossed around, the lead breaks inside. So, but yeah, that feels pretty sturdy. Let's see how it compares to our Laurentian and our Kohl colored pencils. Oh, of course that cut off right when I was coloring that in. Yeah, you know, these are, I don't know what to say, they're colored pencils. They do feel a little bit smoother, and I feel the tip wearing down a little bit more quickly than these other ones, so they do seem a little bit softer. So that's that. This was a moment in history for these colored pencils. They're finally fulfilling their duty and being used, and I will use them and love them. Show them the love that they've been waiting for the past 40 years. Don't worry, I got you. And I guess that's about it. You know what, since we're here, I'm gonna play with one of these Muji pens, and they're so new they even have that little tip thing there. Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, look at that. That is beautiful. I love these pens. It just glides, man, it glides. Yeah, I really wanted to get the refills at the Muji store, but of course they discontinued them, which is so sad. But at least I have 6 of them to play with. So I guess this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, even though I didn't actually create an art piece. But I will soon. So I don't know if it'll be the video after this, or maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks from now, but I will create an art piece using the majority of these supplies here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more insight into these supplies, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Comment down below. Do your thing. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if you didn't, because as usual, you have options. And I am planning to visit 2 more thrift shops this week, but after that, I'm gonna put a sack in it. Just, you know, backpedal a little bit, because I visited so many these past 2 weeks. I'm also starting up an urban sketching class, so that'll be exciting. And I'm taking an Italian class too, so pretty soon my days will be filled. But I have discovered so many neat little thrift stores throughout these past 2 weeks, and I'm so excited to revisit them and see what else they have in stock. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Stay creative, stay healthy, peace.
So let's read this. It's the look that can't be imitated. The Coca-Cola trademark is famous everywhere in the world. The instantly recognizable name stands for fun, good times, and great taste everywhere you go. But Coke goes far beyond being a refreshing beverage. It's not just the drink, it's the look. There's an indefinable quality about the unique imagery of Coke that can't be imitated, can't be duplicated. Oh, that means the same thing. Okay. The Coca-Cola trademark has become more than a universal symbol of the world's most popular soft drink. It's a fashion, it's style, and it's on great-looking pencils. Always Coca-Cola. That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they were trying to break into the fashion industry, I don't know. But interesting. Then we have this one here, which says something else. This one was on the polar bear packaging. Get sharp, write cool. The Coca-Cola polar bear is one cool dude chilling in the North Pole with the world's #1 soft drink. Everyone loves this polar bear, and the Coke pencils featuring the Coca-Cola pencil bear are a great icebreaker at school, at ball games, even at parties. It'll just show off your Coca-Cola pencils at a party. That's the key to popularity, or at least it was in the 90s. But bear in mind, haha, funny, these pencils won't be around forever. They're not just cool, they're not just calm, they're gonna be collected too. So yeah, I guess this was a collectible that I totally destroyed. But again, the pencils will fulfill their purpose, so at least they have that going for it. Anyways, this was a very long end clip. I didn't even know there was writing on the back of this, so goes to show how little I pay attention. Okay, seriously, bye.